Welcome to the Volk Furs Podcast. I'm your host, Garrett Volk. The fur trade has a rich history dating back to the 1500s. How has it survived, and what is the future? I will take a look at the history of the fur trade, in-depth discussions on various topics pertaining to trapping, fur fashion, interviews with industry experts, and much more. If you are addicted to fur, this is your podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the Volk Furs Podcast. I am your host, Garrett Volk, and tonight we're going to be talking about the fur market, some things you can do during the summer season, and a little bit of an outlook of what's going to happen next season for fur market. We're trying to go into that a little bit. I've been off the air for a little bit. I've been pretty busy in the fur shed the last several months with some other things, and episodes have been on the lower part of my list to get done. But I want to put together one tonight. Just had a nice thunderstorm go through. It's all wet outside, so I think I'm going to sit in front of the computer for a little bit. I do have another episode tomorrow night I'm going to be recording, hopefully. That'll be a really good one, so you guys will have to wait for that to come out. I'm not gonna let you know before we do it, so you'll just have to listen for it. But it'll be a really good one. So please, I'll keep you posted through my social channels on Instagram and Facebook. So watch out for those episodes being posted. So let's get into looking at some high level comments from the March and May fur harvesters auction. The May fur harvesters auction was down a little bit with some of the clearances. The beaver ticked down a little bit, but not much, but still pretty good. In March, it was around $30, and I think in this last auction, just a little bit under $30. The muskrat market is pretty much, I don't know if it's dead or what the deal is, but you can't sell a muskrat right now for anything other than a couple dollars. So I know there were some muskrats moving this winter a little bit, from trappers to dealers, but they had to pay pretty low. But bobcat did pretty well, both auctions. I think it was down just a tick in May, but in the country earlier in the year, I think the bobcats were pretty good at the state auctions. The coyotes for March, the good color coyotes, they did well from what I kind of picked up during the auction when I was listening to it and watching the lots go by. I know the AB colors were bid pretty competitively. Now the pricing is not great, but they were bid pretty competitively in March. And those March averages for coyotes were about $37 for westerns at 60% clearance. So that's pretty good, actually. In March, the badger like 20, skunks were about 16. Some of the raccoons, I know in my section, which is western heavies, I guess some people were getting in the upper teens, I guess. So that's pretty good overall. The averages are only about 9, but it was a small section. Red fox were not the best. The westerns were $765 in March, which not very good. That's super cheap. It's almost embarrassingly cheap. I mean, that fur is so nice, and for $7.65, I mean, that's ridiculous. But I guess when there's no demand, the clearances were 76%, but there's only about 10,200 skins roughly. I'm not big into sable, but the sable prices, from what I understand, weren't too bad. $50 for first section heavies. So mink were terrible, $3.55. I mean, who's going to trap a mink for $3.55? It's not going to happen. So the March sale was people were pretty happy with that. The beaver prices. The beaver prices were what kind of, really advanced everything, and people were pretty excited. Everybody knew that beaver prices were coming that high. So, the country prices started to creep up there towards that time, and everybody kind of knew that's where it was going to be. So for the May auction, beaver was down just a tick, but 100% clearance. So it was a hair under 30. The mink, interesting. I just said that who'd trap a mink for $3.55. Well, in May, the mink sold for $8.84 overall, with less mink offered. So, geez, maybe somebody does want a mink. I don't know. Otter from March to May. Otter's about the same. Fisher was about the same, I guess. 43 versus about 40. Bobcat in March was like for a Western pale. I'm thinking that's what that is. A little hair over $300. In May, that same one was about $200. So that was pretty good. Red Fox market actually went up a little bit in May. Not sure. Depends what section you're in. So not sure why that was. I talked to somebody the other day about that. I don't know if people are getting into Red Fox. I doubt it. I mean, 10,000 skins, you can't do much with 10,000 skins for a mass thing. So, I said the coyotes in March, they weren't too bad. In May, the coyotes were terrible. Western 24.37 for an average. There's only 24% of the 41,855 skins that sold. Terrible, pretty bad. I mean, real bad. Nobody wanted them. Nobody wants them. And I would say that some of these coyotes on this auction in May were probably a little bit better too, just because they're in later. So nobody wants coyotes. Absolutely nobody. And there's so many out there. I'm sorry, coyote guys. I've been saying this. The coyote market is gone. And it's too bad. It really is, because we're coyote guys up here, right? Over the years of buying coyotes and trapping and stuff, that's all we do is coyotes, because we have such a good coyote. And it just pains me that the coyote market went from just great for 10 years and then wham, it's gone. So I don't know what to say about it. I still can't resist buying some coyotes and trapping some coyotes just because the fur is so nice. After you get that home from the dresser and you see that fur, it's like, this is great. So for the diehard coyote guys, I mean, nothing really changes, but you won't see much reward. There'll be a little bit. There's some people still out there buying some stuff to replenish, and there's always going to be demand for some of the better skins and certain type of skins. So it's not like you can't sell it, but the big volume stuff, that's over for now. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it comes back. I don't think it will, but some of the raccoon in May was really bad. $3.38 for a Western heavy average. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, I understand there's a lot of raccoon out there, but that's crazy. March was a little better, and I did hear some of the better sections went better that are up by my place, but ermine, squirrel, I'm not really going to talk about that too much, about the same. Badger for May was up to around $30. In March, it was $20. That's pretty good. I mean, there's not a lot of badger, around 200 badger, which I find that only 200 badger up that auction. You think there'd be a lot more than that, but I don't know if people really target badger unless they live in those badger rich areas. I mean, we have badger up in my neck of the woods, but we don't have a lot. There's certain areas not too far from me that have more, but we get really cold winters up here. If you have a really cold winter, you probably don't see a badger in prime unless we got an early spring that February, March time frame, and they're still really good. You might be able to get them, but really not going to talk much about timberwolf or black bear. I don't know much about those, and they're all taxidermy items anyway, so there's not a huge demand. But I mean, there's good pricing for the really good fur. But so anyway, the May auction for harvesters was down a little bit. Clearances were down a little bit. Prices were down a little bit, but that's probably expected. I had a conversation with a guy the other day. We were talking about the world economy, everything going on, the war, all the geopolitical stuff going on. I would say that has something to do with it, maybe. I mean, I know there was buyers there, in person and stuff like that, but just imagine if your country's at war, right? I'm talking Russia and Ukraine, where a lot of fur is being used. And then the whole region that would probably buy fur products from Russia and Ukraine. And China, which would make products for Russia and import them into Russia, and for everybody in Russia to use them. So just think if you're in those countries right now and you're dodging bullets and wondering when you're going to get hit by a missile tomorrow or not, I would say that buying a fur hat, unless you're in the far reaches of Russia or somewhere that you needed the warmth, it's probably not the highest on your mind. I mean, it's crazy how this world affects the fur market, and people probably aren't really worried about buying fur. So it sucks for us trappers, but I mean, what do you do? So we're at the mercy of Russia and China for the fur anyway, for the most part. I mean, yes, there's the Italians and there's the Greeks and there's Turkey and stuff like that, but boy, China manufactures a lot of fur stuff, and that's kind of where all this stuff was going. Now it's like nobody's got money, everybody's fighting, everybody's wondering when the next world war is going to start. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the United States needs to start wearing fur. Gee, that's a novel idea. Maybe the country that produces a lot of this wild fur should start using it. So that's what I try to promote. I try to promote fur being worn by us here in the United States. I've sold Davy Crockett hats of all things, which is a novelty item to me. And I would never wear a Davy Crockett hat up here just because it's not warm enough, because I need the ears and down the face in the wintertime. But for people in milder climates, fur looks nice. And I've sold a lot of Davy Crockett hats. I think I mentioned that before in previous episodes, but any type of a fur thing out there makes it more visible. So am I expecting a big boom in people wearing fur in the United States? No. I mean, I wish it would. I mean, that'd be great, right? There probably wouldn't be enough wild fur in the United States to supply people. Well, maybe the northern half of the country, but so anyway, buy somebody a fur hat for Christmas, or buy it for their birthday, or introduce somebody to a fur hat or mittens and say, look how warm this is. Maybe they'll start wearing it. But anyway, so the fur market is definitely affected worldwide by the countries over there that are at war right now, and the one right next to it that shut their country down for a couple of years because of the COVID deal. So once that stuff clears up, our market will come back a little bit. I'm hoping. I think that's what everybody's hoping. But so enough about the fur market. I think we all know where that stands. At least we can still sell stuff. It's not the worst it's been. It's not the best it's been. So at least we could still sell things and get some money out of the hard work that you guys do as trappers and hunters. So let's move on to the next thing. What can you do in the summer? You're not trapping, okay? The fur auctions are over. What's there to do? Well, there's lots of things. You can attend some of these conventions. The National Trappers Association convention, I believe, is coming up in July. The Fur Takers of America is coming up in June, end of June. The Western Regional for the NTA just happened here a few days ago. Up here in North Dakota, the North Dakota Fur Hunters and Trappers Association is having their rendezvous the end of June. North Dakota Fur Takers is having theirs in August. So, attend some of these state auctions. Or these state auctions. Yeah, attend the state auctions if you're trying to sell fur. Attend the state conventions. Become a member. Go learn what other guys are doing on the trap line. Maybe you learn something here or there. Talk with people that have been there for a while. I know the conventions that I've been to in the state sometimes aren't attended as well as one would hope. Hopefully we get more kids involved in it. That's kind of what you shoot for. I mean, the kids are the future of this sport, of any sport, right? So what else can you do in the summer? Well, you do a lot of scouting. Find some new property. Maybe you found a pocket of deer that you think there might be some coyotes around, or maybe you found a den or something like that. Excuse me. Maybe you know of a farmer that put in a food plot and release some pheasants or something this spring and wants to protect from all the skunk and raccoons getting in the nests and stuff. So maybe you go ask and say, hey, I'll help you out and try to get rid of some of your skunks and your raccoons so they don't eat all your eggs, right? I mean, you can try stuff like that. Hone your skills a little bit. Help out the property owner. Maybe you get to trap in the fall. Do a lot of scouting. I do like a lot of scouting. I mean, a lot of times you can do scouting from your computer, but you got to get out there and look at the terrain features and stuff like that too. So, get your traps ready, wax and dye them, do some modifications if you want to, get your lure all lined up, make sure you got all your tools, your fur shed tools in line and trap line tools in line. I mean, there's lots of stuff to do in the summertime, and it's a time where you can take it a little bit easier than in the fall or winter when you're running a trap line every day and you're in the fur shed and you're running down and working hard, getting everything done and stuff like that. Take the time in the summer to kind of relax a little bit and take it all in and maybe hone your process a little bit more. You got a couple months to get going. Our trapping season up here, we used to start trapping for coyotes in the middle of October. We kind of started going a little later now just because we want to make sure we caught a little bit better fur. But then we contend with the weather up here. The 1st of November can be freezing, thaw, freeze, thaw. And it's about impossible to keep traps going. And then if you get a foot of snow, it's like, well, I guess we're waiting until snaring season's legal. So anyway, that's what we can do this summer. Get ready for that fall time frame. So what's going to happen this next season for fur market? I don't know. Your guess is probably just as good as mine. I think that beaver's kind of reached a ceiling. I think I've got some information the other day that maybe we think the prices are going to be staying around this for a little while, which would be great. Muskrat, I think, is going to be just as bad. All this long hair stuff. Bobcat's going to probably be okay still. I think especially there's a lower harvest usually, and it seems like it's a good demand. Coyotes, man, I don't know. I think it's going to be as worst we've ever seen it. I hope not. I'm still going to trap them, and I'm still going to buy a few. I mean, you can't not buy a few, right? You have to. If you're a fur buyer, you have to buy something. So I'll probably buy the better skins. I mean, it's not going to be for hardly anything, but at least I'll try to buy some. Let's see what else is there. All the specialty stuff like the skunk and the badger, porcupines. I mean, that stuff is great to get, That kind of fills in the gaps from where these big ticket items that used to be coyotes and stuff and raccoons, they kind of fill in the gaps there. So, make sure you catch all that stuff and put it up. So overall, I think we're probably going to see a first season next year as far as the market goes the same. I'd be really surprised if it was better. It might be better in certain sections of certain things. It's hard to tell. Somebody comes along and needs a particular section of a skin and you happen to be in that area, you'd be like, wow, this is great. I hope the beaver kind of stays where it's at. I hope people don't go overboard with paying too much than they have to and cause a big beaver market crash. I hope it kind of stays sustainable like that. So I think the market's going to stay the same. It wouldn't surprise me if it got worse, but with some articles, it can't get much worse as far as like coyote and stuff. So, but keep trapping. Trap that prime fur. Keep learning and just keep chugging along. So, what do I got going on this summer? Well, I'm going to start doing some more podcast episodes, so keep an eye out for that. I'm always working on making some stuff in the clean side of the fur shed where I make some blankets and hats and mittens and headbands and Davy Crockett's and stuff like that. I always got work lined up to do that. So I do appreciate it. If you're looking for something for the fall or winter, get a hold of me in the summer so I have plenty of time to get it done. I do get backed up sometimes. So I'm going to be at the North Dakota Fur Hunters and Trappers Association rendezvous at the end of June. I'll have a table there with some fur accessories and some skins and stuff if a guy wants to buy something or whatever. I'm thinking about going to the North Dakota Fur Takers one. We'll see how that works out. It's a little farther for me and kind of a bad time of the year, but I try to make it to those and kind of just support the whole fur organization type thing. So that's what I got going on this summer. Of course, trying to get some traps, cleaned up and getting ready for the fall. before we know it, it'll be October and it'll be like, where's my traps and where's my digger, and dang it, I forgot that I need to buy a new sifter. And so summer's a good time to get all that done. So that's kind of what I got going on. If anybody is interested in some fur products, I do have an Etsy page you can go on. Just go to Etsy.com, type in Volk Furs. You'll see my page. You can click on my page and it'll show a listing of items that are for sale. I custom make most items. I do have a little inventory once in a while, but I usually can turn a hat around in a few days if I don't have anything else going on. So if there's something you don't quite like about a product, email me, message me, and we custom make most anything, so we can make it to whatever you want. I also have an Instagram page. I post some pictures and some stuff on there, and a Facebook page where I do a lot of my announcements. So follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and check out my Etsy page. I do have a website. Not much on there other than just an informational website. It kind of links to everything else. So, and then of course my podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's on the Libsyn directory. I do have a YouTube channel. I don't have a lot on there yet. Still trying to wade through the whole video making process and the best way to do that. I want to make some how-tos, but there's a lot of how-tos out there about lots of stuff. It'd be kind of nice to have some one-on-one interviews in video. Not sure how that's going to work. So still trying to work on that. I do post all my podcast episodes up to YouTube. So if you like to just have YouTube on or whatever, you can do that. So yeah, that's what I got going on, and always look forward to the fall season. So I'm always looking for ideas for the podcast too. So if you guys have any questions or suggestions, you want to hear somebody in particular, send me an email, info@volkfurs.com. You can message me on Facebook or Instagram, or give me a call. I got my phone number on the website. Pretty open, pretty flexible. I respond fairly quickly, so I'm always looking for new ideas. So I guess that's it. So next time we'll have a new guest on here. You guys will like him. So stay tuned. That should be posted probably in the next few days. So until next time, take care. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the most recent episode of the Volk Furs podcast. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, please email me at info@volkfurs.com. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, or you can contact me via my website at volkfurs.com.